take a look at 10 of the biggest lies that 45 told last year. And one was kind of a half lie. It was half true, half lie. I don't know what they're talking about on that one, but we're going to take a look at that anyway. 45, hold on. 45 advanced a dizzying number of lies in 2019, but none so central to his legacy in the news cycle as the torrent of falsehoods about the dealings with Ukraine that led to his impeachment hearing. Or they haven't done the hearing yet, but they should. Since he exploded onto the national political stage more than 4 years ago with the false claim that Mexico was funneling criminals into the United States, the squatter has frequently used falsehoods to attack his rivals and overstate his popularity and success. We fact-checked his claims, sometimes repeatedly, as they've guided U.S. policy on everything from trade to immigration. This year, the squatter promoted conspiracy theories about Ukraine and inaccurate claims about how his tariffs, how tariffs work in an attempt to spin his trade war with China as a win, even as the data showed that Americans, including farmers, were paying the price for it. Other smaller falsehoods still made headlines. Here are 10 baseless, misleading, or confounding claims which are still considered lies in my point. In the facts, plus one often repeated claim that finally in late October became true. First lie, Ukraine interfered in the 2016 election, which they didn't. This claim is false. According to the unanimous assessment of the U.S. intelligence community and the former special counsel Robert Mueller, who spent 2 years investigating Russia's election interference effort. The Russian government, not Ukraine, interfered in the 2016 election in sweeping and systematic fashion. The Mueller report concluded working to boost 45's bid while damaging his Democratic rival Hillary Clinton. Still, in both private and public remarks, as well as in the pivotal July 25th call with Ukraine's new president, 45 repeatedly pushed or referenced a conspiracy theory that Ukraine and the Democrats framed Russia for election meddling in an attempt to discredit his squadency. See, we don't have to discredit 45's squadency. He's already discredited himself. And that now, famous July phone call with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, the same call in which 45 asked for investigations into former Vice President Joe Biden and his son Hunter. 45 danced around the theory. He talked about his whole situation with Ukraine, Democratic computer servers, and CrowdStrike, the private cybersecurity firm initially hired by the Democratic National Committee to investigate a breach that the FBI ultimately concluded was a hack and dump scheme engineered by Moscow as part of a larger pro-45 influence campaign. The server they say Ukraine has at 45 said, according to a White House record of the call. I would like you to get to the bottom of it, he continued. They say a lot of it started with Ukraine. Later, he would suggest to reporters that Clinton's emails might be in Ukraine. In fact, that there is no evidence that Ukraine mounted any sort of election interference effort. Ukraine isn't harboring a Democratic server, and Clinton's emails are not hiding there either. Members of 45's own administration, including former Department of Homeland Security Secretary Tom Bossert, have said that they tried to tell 45 this wasn't true, and he doesn't listen. The conspiracy, which was first publicly posted on a far-right message board 4chan in March of 2017, appears to be part of 45's broader, years-long effort to discredit Mueller's investigation and undercut the idea that a foreign government helped him get elected. In late 2019, 45's unfound fascination with Ukraine became inextricably tied to separate false claims about Biden, who was running to challenge him in the 2020 election, and featured heavily in the House's impeachment inquiry into whether 45 abused the power of his office by attempting to pressure a vulnerable ally into announcing investigations into the Bidens and Democrats that could boost his bid for re-election. During weeks of hearings over the course of the House's impeachment inquiry, members of the State Department, Defense Department, and 45's own administration testified again and again that Russia, not Ukraine, and not the former vice president were the bad actors. 45's former Russia expert, Fiona Hill, called the idea that Ukraine meddling in the 2016 a fictional narrative promoted by Russian intelligence and rebuked House Republicans for using it to defend the squatter against impeachment. 45 members of the GOP have contended that the actions his administration took toward Ukraine were motivated not by political or personal interest, but by legitimate concern about corruption in the country, including alleged Ukraine election interference. In the course of this conversation, I would ask that you please not promote politically driven falsehoods that so clearly advance Russians' interests, Hill said in her opening statement to Congress. I refuse to be a part of an effort to legitimize an alternative narrative that the Ukraine government is a U.S. adversary and that Ukraine, not Russia, attacked us in 2016. Lie number 2. Biden acted corruptly as vice president to benefit his son. 45 has said he discussed political rival Biden with the president of Ukraine, a phone call at the heart of the Intelligence Committee whistleblower's complaint that led to the launch of this impeachment proceedings in the House for one reason, a desire to root out corruption. The former vice president, 45 said, wielded his influence to benefit his son Hunter's private sector work in Ukraine in May. 45 said that Biden improperly got a Ukrainian prosecutor fired, a claim he went on to repeat in the July phone call with Zelensky. 45 would later add this ousting was to protect Hunter Biden, who served on the board of the Ukrainian energy company at the time. But despite 45's continued claims, there's no evidence of any wrongdoing on either part of the Bidens. Removing that prosecutor was U.S. policy under the administration of then-President Barack Obama, while Obama administration officials raised concerns at the time about the appearance of a conflict of interest that Hunter Biden's work posed for the vice president. U.S. officials testified as part of the impeachment inquiry into 45 that there was no evidence Biden himself worked toward anything other than enacting U.S. policy. Lie number 3, the whistleblower made a false account. In September, news broke that an anonymous person within the intelligence community had filed a former whistleblower complaint related to the squatter's dealings with Ukraine, including that July phone call with Zelensky, and that the 45 administration was withholding that complaint from Congress. By the end of the month, Congress had obtained the whistleblower's 9-page complaint, which the author wrote is lodged out of the belief that 45 was using the power of his office to solicit interference from a foreign country, which he was, in the 2020 election, and detailed alleged actions by the president and by the squatter and other government officials to pressure Ukraine into opening politically advantageous investigations. The House Intelligence Committee on September 26 released a declassified version of the complaint to the public as part of the formal investigation into the whistleblower's allegations. Subsequently, 45 made several inaccurate claims about the complaint, charging that the still unnamed whistleblower had made a false account. He got his information, I guess, second or third hand. He wrote something that was total fiction, which it wasn't. The whistleblower gave a false account, 45 said, on another day in October. So wrong, he wrote in a tweet in November. There's no evidence to support this. Rather, the available evidence supports the whistleblower. The actions and conversations described in the whistleblower's complaint have been largely corroborated by both the record of the Zelensky call that the White House released, as well as sworn testimony of 45's aides. An exhaustive NPR report shows the Ukraine whistleblower used both first-hand and second-hand information in the complaint, according to the Office of the Inspector General of the Intelligence Community. Michael Horowitz, the Inspector General, noted that this is an acceptable practice in a whistleblower complaint. Lie number 4. Article 2 of the Constitution lets 45 do whatever he wants, which it doesn't. Article 2 allows the squatter, 45 had made, back in June, 45 had stated that Article 2 allows him to do whatever he wants from the Constitution, which it does not say that. Article 2 of the Constitution establishes the executive branch and outlines the squattancy's power. It does grant the squatter a lot of power, but it does not say he can do whatever he wants unfettered. What's more, Article 2 of the Constitution also outlines impeachment as a recourse for a problematic squatter. The squatter, vice president, and all civil officers of the United States should be removed from office on impeachment for and conviction of treason, bribery, and other high crimes and misdemeanors. Article 1 of the Constitution deputizes lawmakers in the process. The House is given the powers of impeachment, while the Senate is tasked with trying and deciding whether to remove an individual who has been impeached. Line number 5. We're taxing the hell out of China with tariffs. No, they're not. You're not paying for those tariffs. China's paying for those tariffs. Their squatter told in Ohio when he had his crime rally back in August, until such time as there is a deal, we will pay taxing the hell out of China. 45 continued to use a fundamental and misunderstanding of tariffs to defend U.S. trade policy this year, repeatedly telling voters that the country was using tariffs to cash in on the wealth of other countries. Economists and experts told NBC News that this is false. Consumers purchasing foreign goods are the ones who picked up the tab. In August, J.P. Morgan estimated that the cost of these tariffs on average are costing U.S. families more than are costing families more than $1,000 a month. Line number 6. The Mueller report totally exonerated 45, which it didn't. 45 had tweeted out that he was completely and totally exonerated. Wrote in one tweet in March after the Mueller report was released. It's an accurate claim he repeated often. House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jerry Nadler, who's a Democrat from New York, asked the former special counsel about this claim during a congressional hearing. Nadler had asked Mueller, "Did you actually totally exonerate the squatter?" Mueller said no. Mueller's written report was clear on this too. If we had confidence after a thorough investigation of the facts that the squatter clearly did not commit obstruction of justice, we would so state. The report reads as part. While this report does not conclude that the squatter committed the crime, it also does not exonerate him. Line number 7. Where Hurricane Dorian was expected to hit. In September, the squatter came under fire for tweeting that Hurricane Dorian was expected to hit Alabama, despite the fact that the vast majority of forecasts said it would not, according to a review by the Associated Press. The National Weather Service in Birmingham, Alabama, tweeted to say Dorian would not affect the state. The squatter continued to insist he was correct, even apparently altering a map with the mark on the Oval Office to reflect this view. While the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration would later offer a statement from an unidentified spokesperson saying the squatter was right at the time, onlookers remained doubtful. Lie number 8, windmills cause cancer. The squatter has repeatedly advocated against wind energy in a way that has perplexed scientists and fact-checkers in April. He said the noise from windmills cause cancer and a graveyard for birds. They kill all the birds, he said in August. The American Cancer Society has rejected the claim that windmills or the sound of them cause cancer. Wind turbines do kill birds, though cats and cell towers kill significantly more winged creatures. Lie number 9, toilet flushing is up. People are flushing toilets 10 times to 15 times a day as opposed to once. They end up using more water, so EPA is looking at that very strongly at my suggestion, 45 said in December, referring to the Environmental Protection Agency. Water preservation restrictions have been on the books since the 1990s, dictating how much water is used by toilets, but there's no evidence that low flushing toilets are creating 10-plus flush situations for anyone. While 45 said he's ordered a review, the review was mandated by a 2018 law, Box reported. Lie number 10, Mars and the Moon. We'll be going to Mars very soon, 45 said in May during a news conference with the Japanese president. The timeline is not accurate. There won't be Americans or anyone else on Mars for at least a decade, according to the Associated Press, which adds that International Space Agencies aspire to reach Mars by the 2030. The next month, 45 tweeted more about U.S. ambitions in space. NASA should be focused on the much bigger things we are doing, including Mars, of which the Moon is a part. Defense and Science, 45 tweeted in June. This confusingly worded tweet suggests that the Moon is part of Mars. It's definitely not. 45 could have been referring to NASA's Moon to Mars program that would establish a human presence on the Moon as part of its larger effort to get to Mars and beyond, but it's worth noting that the Moon is a satellite of Earth. Now, here's a bonus lie. The wall is being built. The wall still obviously has ways to go, but we're building it at a breakneck speed, 45 said in September. 45 has been taking credit for building a new border wall for years now. It was 2018's top falsehood, and the claim was false for most of the year. But in late October, the New York Times reports the 45 administration finally broke ground on a new stretch in Texas. Previously, the construction 45 boasted about amounted to the replacement of old sections, not a new border barrier. So the wall that he campaigned on is not the concrete wall he promised. It's just a fence where people could just jump over. It's not the concrete wall that 45 campaigned on. Mexico is still not paying for it, nor is the wall being built in Colorado, as 45 claimed in October. Since the Centennial State does not border Mexico, but it is at long last a new stretch of border barrier for which he can claim credit,